The story of the Jews of Rome, indeed the story of the Jews of Italy, is a very, very complicated story. And maybe the best way for me to tell it briefly is standing right here with the main synagogue of Rome behind me, with the ghetto of Rome to my left, with monuments to the Second World War and to the Holocaust just opposite me, and with a very quaint church off in the corner here to my right. The Jews here consider themselves the oldest continuous Jewish community in the world. They date back some 22 centuries. Beginning in the 16th century, under the edict of the then Pope, remember, we're in Rome, they created a ghetto. It was not the first ghetto. The first ghetto in Europe was actually in Venice in the 16th century. But in the year 1555, the ghetto of Rome was created. And it meant that Jews could only leave this ghetto from sunrise to sunset. And after sunset, they were locked inside this space. It also meant that they could not own property, and it meant that their ability to work was limited to a very, very few professions. It was only more than 3 centuries later that this ghetto in Rome was removed. Although there are still some Jews who live here, now it's become kind of trendy for Italians and tourists to come and eat artichokes in the Jewish style and a few other characteristic dishes. The synagogue behind me was built in 1904 after the ghetto was opened up. It's the main synagogue of Rome. It's a beautiful synagogue, but it's also been the site of tragedy. In 1982, 5 Palestinian terrorists attacked Shabbat worshippers who were just leaving the synagogue, and in that terrorist attack, a 2-year-old child was murdered. His 4-year-old brother was severely injured, and dozens of others were also wounded. And there is a monument to that child at the synagogue. By the way, it's a reminder that for the Palestinian terrorists, it wasn't just Israel that was the target. It was Jews, including Shabbat worshippers, that were the target. But the same synagogue, just a few years later, hosted Pope John Paul II, who became the first Catholic Pope in recorded history ever to visit a synagogue. And it was in this synagogue where he said his famous words to the Jews, "You are my elder brothers." Italy has known other terrorist attacks, Palestinian terrorist attacks, including at the airport against El Al planes, both in the 1970s and 1980s. But then there's also the church. And that church also has a story, because it was in that church of San Gregorio that Jews, adult Jews on the Sabbath, were obligated to go into that church, where the attempt was made to convert them. And the story is told that many Jews tried to put wax in their ears so they would not hear the sermons. And the Catholic officials kept searching the Jews to clean out their ears. They also had long poles, so if Jews tried to sleep through the sermon, they would prod them, all in an effort to convert the Jews. And last but not least, it was very near the site where the Nazis came in October 1943 to round up as many Jews as they could, to deport them to Auschwitz. And very few survived and returned. So right here in this spot, on the one hand, you have the tragic reminder of the ghetto, you have the tragic reminder of terrorism, you have the tragic reminder of the efforts over centuries of the Catholic Church to repress the Jews, but you also have the signs of hope of the revival of the ghetto and a proud Jewish community in Rome today, and the fact that John Paul II took a great leap forward in Catholic-Jewish relations with his memorable talk. So here on this spot, surrounded by these few buildings, in essence you have the story of thousands of years of Jewish history, both painful and proud.